kids! Follow the bouncing plate! Oink, oink, zoo pals. Buzz, buzz, zoo pals. Quack, quack, zoo pals. Zoo pals make eating fun!
Hi everyone, I'm a jaded Zillennial. I'm sure a lot of you are too, and if you're not, that's totally fine. Welcome to the party. Have you ever ended up with a commercial's jingle stuck in your head on repeat forever? I think that the original Zoo Pals commercial is an example of one from the early 2000s that will never leave our heads. It will forever haunt those of us who saw it after the plates were released in 2002. Zoo Pals were a weirdly hyped up collection of paper plates with animal faces on them. Each pack had about 20 Zoo Pals in it, and the animals would be entirely randomized. Zoo Pals were created by Hefty, a company most famous for trash bags, and they really thought Zoo Pals would be the best addition to the paper plate market ever. A 2002 article written by the parent company of Hefty and Zoo Pals, Pactiv, read, "Thanks to new Hefty Zoo Pals paper plates, the back-to-school frenzy that typically descends on families come fall can now be replaced with the spirit of fun and adventure." Actually, the articles that Pactiv wrote about Zoo Pals are pretty jarring, and I think it's because we're so used to viewing Zoo Pals from a child's perspective rather than a corporate marketing executive's perspective. They start to really spam you with their mission and vision of what Zoo Pals would accomplish. I think we're just used to seeing Zoo Pals as like this weirdly happy little plate instead of a product created by a multi-billion-dollar company. And marketing for this product was solid, which is why I think it's so ingrained in our collective memory of the early 2000s. Zoo Pals advertised directly to children, which to me gives me the same vibe as like cereal box mascots, whose eyes are designed to make eye contact with children in the grocery store, and that's a legit thing. Actually, there was a 2014 study published in the journal called Environment and Behavior, and they found that eye contact with cereal spokes characters actually increases feelings of trust and connection with the brand, as well as making it more likely that children will pick that brand over their competitors, which is wild. So yes, they're marketing to children, directly appealing to them, trying to create a sense of connection to their product, trying to hook them in emotionally to invest in Zoo Pals. It's exactly the same, which is why their commercials don't start with, "Hey parents," they start with,
"Hey kids!"
The whole thing that made Zoo Pals special was that you would eat your food and then it would just reveal an animal's face at the end that you totally couldn't see behind your collection of like a handful of grapes, 6 tater tots, some ketchup. You know, it's really hard to see past all that. The spokespeople in the commercial are a sentient fork and a spoon. They're both disposable utensils. I don't really get why they're the ones speaking to the audience here. One of them looks like a distant relative of Forky from Toy Story 4, and the other one looks like he has rotting carrots for eyeballs. I'm honestly not sure why these mascots are so invested in Zoo Pals either, unless it's some kind of like Chick-fil-A situation where you've got like the cows trying to convince you to eat chickens. But in this case, it's actually sentient utensils telling you to please use paper plates, dispose of those. Don't even think about using utensils for your finger food snacks, please. I also like that the Zoo Pals marketing department kind of wrote themselves into a corner when they ran out of animals that had easily recognizable sounds. So instead of quack, quack, Zoo Pals, you get
Hop, hop, Zoo Pals. Bloop, bloop, Zoo Pals.
And these commercials are very formulaic. There are really only 3 takes of the original Zoo Pals commercial. The first one is what everyone knows. The second one has a slightly different intro.
"Hey kids, here come the new Zoo Pals! Tweet, tweet, Zoo Pals!"
And then goes right into that same formula. And the third one is for what else? Zoo Pals babies, because every children's line needs a baby's version for some reason.
Wow! New Zoo Pals babies!
The one thing that is consistent is the opening, the song, the interlude with 2 children enjoying a snack, and then the outro. But what's interesting about all 3 commercials is that interlude with the 2 kids is exactly the same every single time. I mean, it is the same scene, literally. In the first 2 Zoo Pals commercials, they use the same plates in that interlude, which seems a little lazy to me because it's not even showing off the new Zoo Pals. But in the Zoo Pals Babies commercial, they painstakingly edit out the original plate that the little girl and the little boy hold up, so they can add in one of the new babies lines. So I don't know why they didn't do that for that second commercial, and I'm not sure why they didn't just reshoot that middle segment for the third, but There's a reason this commercial is so ingrained in our heads. It is the same commercial multiple times. Like, I know the primary audience is 4 years old, but I noticed Zoo Pals. And then the Zoo Pals babies lines, instead of just doing, I don't know, higher pitched baby animal sounds, they just hit us with random baby related words instead.
Hug, hug, babies. Kiss, kiss, babies. Zoo Pals, babies.
Listen guys, the reason that the Zoo Pals theme song is in your head as nostalgia is because they hammered this thing home. They do not change a beat. It is structurally the same. I'm honestly impressed. I'm weirded out that the formula is so specific, but impressed. And of course, Zoo Pals has set themselves up this way as a collectible too. I mean, each pack has random animals in it, you never know which ones you're gonna get. And then they started with the idea of retiring certain animals unless people voted for them to come back. Actually, in 2003, Pactiv wrote an article about the new Zoo Pals website where they said it was supposed to be for kids, parents, and collectors. Now, my family would buy Zoo Pals on occasion, and I remember feeling absolutely nothing towards them. I mean, it's a paper plate for kids. I know this is a hot take, but I just don't get the hype. I'm sorry everyone, I admit the commercial is catchy, but do we really need to bring Zoo Pals back? Aren't we sort of drowning ourselves in unearned nostalgia on this one? It's marketing that worked really well. Anyway, so Zoo Pals had one license deal where they had Arthur and Friends, and then after that they pretty much fizzled out. Some people will say that Zoo Pals stopped being sold in 2007. That's not quite correct. They were sold through the early 2010s. I think generally they were off the shelves in 2013. However, since they did survive through 2013, that gave Zoo Pals just enough time to come up with their very first brand new structure for a commercial, and I really wish they hadn't. I'm so sorry you have to see this.
Do the dip, feed the fun.
Zoo Pals! Also, what did they say in the beginning of the commercial? Because I have asked multiple people what this phrase is. Because I think I know what I'm hearing. But it does not make sense for a commercial for children. You could probably easily edit this into a commercial for like a horror movie. Actually, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna make a teaser. When I was a girl, they told us that they made eating fun. We managed to banish them once. But now, they're back, and they're hungry. Zoo Pals, coming to a theater near you. Also, they show this kid dipping a potato chip in ketchup. Ew. Honestly guys, I understand being nostalgic. We're at an age, if you're a Zillennial, where you're really out of your childhood now, and that can be kind of scary, but not everything is worth being nostalgic about. It's one thing to miss a toy you played with your friends, or a movie you watched when you were little, but paper plates that were heavily advertised by a multi-billion-dollar company, I just don't understand. And these marketing agendas are pretty insidious. I mean, I'll link a Forbes article down below where these marketing executives are rejoicing that they can actually capitalize on millennials' nostalgic feelings. And that's kind of sick to me. This whole article talks about how finally they've connected with millennials through emotional hooks for corporate brands and ideas that they can use to draw them as consumers. That connection to our childhoods means it's easier to create a personal tie to a product, even if it's something simple as a paper plate. And that's kind of why I'm a little weirded out at this fervent love for Zoo Pals, this petition to bring Zoo Pals back. Listen, if you're fixated on Zoo Pals because of the nostalgia you get from the Zoo Pals song, just go listen to the Goofy Goober song.
I'm a goofy goober, yes. You're a goofy goober, yes. We're all goofy goobers, yes. Goofy goober, yeah.
That's about it for me today. What other throwback items or products or media can you remember that you get nostalgic about from your childhood? I could happily make a video about that next if you'd like. Let me know below.